So, The Snow Queen is the story that inspired Frozen. Now, Disney takes old fairy tales that are in the public domain, like things that I read to you, turn the public domain, which means that they were written so long ago that the rights to them have expired. Where when you make something new, where you make a piece of art, where you make a movie, where you take a picture, where you draw a drawing, where you write a story, the government says you have so long to have exclusive rights, where you're the only one who can make copies of it. You're the only one who gets to decide where it's seen, where it's shown. But after a while, it comes into something called the public domain. And this is one of those stories that was written a long time ago, was written in the 1800s. And it became the basis of the story Frozen. Now, Frozen doesn't have a hobgoblin, and Frozen doesn't have a mirror, and Frozen doesn't have. Well, actually, I guess Frozen does have the goblins who go and talk about love, except they're portrayed as good as instead of being evil. Though I've read some things that said that they were actually the villains of the movie, as opposed to the people who turned out to be the villains later on. That if you were to take a look at the goblins, really were the villain. The trolls, I guess they were called in the movie. Trolls were the actual villains. Anyway, this starts out with the devil, Lucifer, the prince of darkness, Satan himself. And he makes a mirror. And the idea of the mirror is that anything good is shown as bad. Anything good is diminished, and anything bad is amplified. And so beautiful things are made ugly, and ugly things are made, or ugly things are amplified. So you look at a beautiful countryside on it, it said stewed spinach. Now, you probably haven't experienced canned spinach or cooked spinach, and it is this disgusting green slimy mess. There's no way around it. Once you start cooking spinach, it just falls apart. Some vegetables take well to cooking. Carrots. Carrots can handle being cooked. They just get soft and edible, more edible. Potatoes, great cooked, not so great raw, but still edible raw. Leafy green vegetables tend to go, they just go south real fast. Cabbage is an exception, but cabbage is a very herky. Thank you, Lolly. Thank you for the cabbage. Cabbage is a very herky, solid vegetable, and it's related to Brussels sprouts, which we've talked about, which are like little teeny tiny cabbages, and it's related to broccoli. And broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and Brussels sprouts are all the same plant. It's just you crossbreed it differently and it looks different. And I have some cabbage right now growing outside that's like 2 feet tall with leafy green and flowers. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I know it's cabbage. Anyway, so most vegetables, some vegetables cook well, some vegetables don't. Lettuce. Don't cook lettuce. Don't heat up lettuce. Don't whatever. If you have a sandwich with lettuce on and you need to reheat it, take the lettuce off, reheat the sandwich, put the lettuce back on. Lettuce in contact with hot stuff is bad. Spinach is the same way. It's too soft, and what happens is all of the water goes out of it, and you're kind of left. As I said, it gets slimy and it gets dark, and it's this nasty, nasty mess. Which is why Popeye wouldn't eat his spinach as a kid, and then it evolved into spinach makes you strong, which is kind of a World War II psyop. But anyway, that's a long story. Anyway, spinach is nasty when it's cooked. It's just, well, some people like it. I guess if you're used to it, it's okay. But spinach is typically not considered nice when it's cooked.
I don't eat.
What was that, Lolly? What don't you eat?
I don't eat cooked spinach.
Lolly doesn't eat cooked
I like
spinach.
raw spinach.
Lolly likes raw spinach. Raw spinach is great as a salad. Crumble up a little cheese, a little dressing. It makes a great foundation instead of lettuce, which, as I said before, is something else you don't cook. Dandelion greens, much the same thing. They just kind of fall apart and get nasty, but once again, great for salad. Anyway, so Devil makes this mirror and he takes it up to the sky because he's like, I'm going to show God. I'm going to hide all the good and amplify the evil. And the mirror shatters. And the mirror shatters and it goes down and it gets into people's eyes. And they start seeing evil as good and good as evil. And this is one of those things that's hammered on in the Bible. It's like, woe to the person who speaks of evil as good and good as evil. And I mean, they're like the worst curses for people like that. And it's actually a terrible thing to do. Because it gets at the foundation of what is right and wrong. And if you lose that foundation, if you lose the sight of what is right, then things just fall apart. And it talked also about shards getting into people's hearts and turning them into ice. This, once again, is Frozen, where you have where you have uh, Elsa, Elsa getting the fragment of anyway, the heart turning to ice, and but anyway, people's hearts turn to ice, and that's being a sign of being cold and unemotional, emotionless, being emotionless and cold and unfeeling and uncaring, which is also not a good thing. And the devil looked at this and he was like, this is so awesome. This is better than just making one or two people miserable at a time where I carried the mirror around. Now it's everybody, everywhere. So here we have these mirrors that make people see, these little grains of dust that make people see evil as good and good as evil, that amplify the terrible thoughts, that take away the human compassion. And so this is a sad way to begin the story. It's a sad way to begin the story.